Hey, what's up guys? Yes, it's your main man JB and I've just made this awesome shoe shelf unit. I've made it out of 18mm hardwood ply. I cut everything down to 300 wide and I fixed it all together using biscuit joints. I had to build it in the cloakroom because it was too big to build in the workshop. So as you can see, here I am putting it together piece by piece, shelf by shelf, divider by divider. And then getting that end panel on was a little bit tricky, but we got there in the end. Once I'd put it all together, I gave it a good sand, make sure there's no sharp corners or edges, and then it was ready to be treated. Once it was constructed, I needed to give it a nice, tough, durable finish. And for that, I used this Dulux Trade Interior Diamond Glaze Varnish. And this is 10 times tougher than your regular varnish. Okay, check it out. All right then, let's get this open. So this is going on really nicely. And as you can see, I'm using a brush. You can roll it, but I would definitely recommend a very small pile roller or mohair roller, something really smooth. The brush that I'm using is very fine, very smooth, but at the same time it's quite big, which is really handy. Now this shelf is clean, dry and sound. Although I've just seen a tiny little bit of dust just come off there. I have sanded this and I've also hoovered it and wiped it with a damp cloth, and it has dried before I started putting the varnish on, so you don't want to start putting it on when it's wet. Now this is only a cloakroom, so there shouldn't be too much going on in here, but this 10 times tougher wood varnish is also resistant to common chemicals, alcohol and water. I mean, definitely going to have a bit of water going on in here if you've got some muddy boots or shoes that have come in from the rain. So with this stuff, I think I'm going to be well protected. Now, being a water-based varnish, it does dry quickly, it's better for the environment, but when you're applying it, it does mean that you've got to work with it fairly quickly as it does start to dry and sink into the timber, particularly during that first coat. Well, that first coat has had about 3 hours to dry now. So I'm ready to put a second coat on, and it feels a little bit rough, but that's usually the case when you put a first coat on. But what we're going to do is take a fine bit of sandpaper. In this case, I'm using a bit of 180 grit, and this sort of grit paper is perfect in between coats. So what we're going to do is just rub over all the edges, all the faces, quite lightly with this paper. It won't take much. It will then make it really smooth. We'll give it a quick clean out and then we'll hit it with that second coat. Oh, don't forget to mask up. So after rubbing it down, and it really did only take a a very light sanding, that really did come up smooth. And putting a second coat of this varnish on is just an absolute dream. It's just the first coat, putting it on bare timber, feels a little bit rough, rub it down, put the second coat on, it's absolutely lovely. I just know that once this coat has dried, it's going to give me a really smooth, hard finish. And I guess that's why it's recommended for floors and doors. Floors and doors and other joinery where there is, you know, high traffic, high wear areas. Get a bit on that front edge. Now, doing this kind of bit, I'd probably use a roller, and I was thinking about using a roller to get most of the varnish on and then laying it off with the brush, but I don't think it's taken that much longer just using a brush, but it does mean I've just got to do the edges with the brush, which is okay. Now, I've decided just to do 2 coats, because even after that first coat it feels quite hard, and looking at it now as it's drying you can really see it's got a bit of a sheen to it. It is satin, but there's a bit of a sheen, and it's definitely going to be hard wearing and better than just having bare wood. Now, if it was a floor, I would definitely be doing a 3rd coat, possibly more. And you would also need to leave it to really properly cure for about 7 days. Although you can have light traffic on it after 24 hours. There, all done. We'll leave that and check it out when it's dry. Fantastic. So after 24 hours and 2 coats of this diamond glaze, these shelves are completely ready to have lots of shoes on. Now, if I was using this on higher wear areas, then I would apply more than 2 coats, but this is going to be ample for the shoes and bags and hats and coats that are going to be going on this shelf unit. I got this in a clear satin because I wanted to keep the colour, although it has darkened it a little bit, which was perfect because it goes even better with the floor in here now. So there you have it, guys. Dulux Trade Interior Diamond Glaze Varnish for floors, doors and other joinery. It's water-based, it's kinder to the environment, it washes with water, so it makes it really easy, and no smelly, horrible chemicals to deal with. It's got a really tough finish. I mean, it feels absolutely lovely. Right then, I'm finished. Time to get some shoes in here, and I'll see you lot on the next video.